Now, this is a very special day for a lot of us here in Lancaster County, and the reason why we're here today, as many of you know, pretty much over a decade ago, the county embarked on how it's going to improve its radio communication systems here in Lancaster County, not only for the purposes of interoperability, but also the fact that we're basically running out of space. We knew we'd run out of space eventually, so how we were going to address that issue in the future. And it's been a long, painstaking process, to say the least. It's required a lot of patience, it's required a lot of help, and we're very happy today after early on in 2008 when we decided to change course from the direction we were moving in with the current 800 system and the open sky system, where we determined it was not going to work here. We took a chance on something called T-band. The long, hard work of our radio project committee really felt that moving in this direction would not only provide better coverage, better penetration as far as communications across the county, but also afford us the opportunity to engage in that interoperability. It required a lot of patience over the last 3 years as we applied to the FCC to gain a waiver so we were able to use abandoned television lines to move in this direction. And there are times where the radio committee, I'm sure, was very frustrated. Us as a board of commissioners were very frustrated and saying, well, you know, maybe this is never going to happen. Maybe we ought to start looking at 700 and start collecting those frequencies as much as possible. But we hung in there. And with some support of some folks, which I'll get to in a second, we're happy to announce that the FCC has granted us the use of Channel 15, which will now enable us to move forward with our RFP process to bring this long project to fruition. One that we believe is going to be more cost effective for the taxpayers of this community, but more importantly, will provide a safer product for the use by our first responders.
When we first came into office 3 years ago, we made a big decision to go away from a system that we were hearing might be a good system, but it's not going to work for Lancaster County. And for me, it's all about public safety. It's about our first responders being able to communicate with each other. And who would have thought, looking at an emergency scene, they can't always necessarily communicate. I think today we've taken a big step towards that. I'm very gratified with that. And again, our thanks to Hearst Television and Paul Quinn and WGAL, and they're working with us, and Congressman Pitts and his staff, and particularly again the staff and the committee who saw this very arduous and frustrating process through to the end. And to the FCC, I must extend a thank you also for their willingness to work with us. Thank you all once again for being here.
You know, when we first came into office, I believe it was February of 2008, if I'm not mistaken, that we first met with the radio committee. And they were united in wanting to take a different approach. They really felt at this point in time that we needed to take a different direction in terms of this radio project. And it was really their support that enabled us to make such a big decision after being in office only a few weeks. So I really want to thank the radio committee for their leadership, because it's really your support of us that allowed us to move this process forward and is what brought us here today. I also want to thank county staff and all the other partners throughout this process that really made this happen. I remember sitting in a radio committee meeting, not too long ago, and at that point in time we really didn't know whether this was going to come to fruition or not. We were talking about dual tracking it, how that might look, and whether that would reduce our chances to actually be successful with the FCC. And it was really the solidarity of the radio committee that kept us on track, that kept us moving forward, and I think is one of the main reasons that we're here today. At the end of the day, this is all about public safety. This is about making sure that the services communicate with each other in an emergency. There is nothing more dangerous for police, fire, our emergency services personnel to be on the site and not being able to know what's going on. And by being able to move forward with this radio project today, I think we're going to be able to be more effective on the scene, and we're going to protect the lives of our services, of the folks who protect us on a daily basis.